Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. So today we're diving into something pretty huge in the world of global climate finance, Pakistan's brand new policy guidelines for trading in carbon markets. Whether you're an investor, a business leader, or honestly just someone fascinated by the economics of climate change, you really need to pay attention to this. This isn't just a dry regulatory update, it's literally a digital blueprint for turning greenhouse gas mitigation into a massive economic opportunity. Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to unpack 6 key areas today to totally demystify this policy. We'll hit the carbon market journey, climate targets and ceiling, project pillars, the 5-step approval process, governance and fees, and finally, the bottom line. Let's get to it. Starting us off with Part 1, Pakistan's carbon market journey, moving from 2006 all the way to the 2024 framework. You know, you might actually be surprised to hear that Pakistan is definitely not starting from scratch here. Nope, they've been at this since 2006, when they first joined the Clean Development Mechanism under the Kyoto Protocol. So for almost 2 decades, right up to 2024, they've been out there proactively registering and monetizing projects using global voluntary standards. Think Vera and Gold Standard. And honestly, all that hands-on experience, that was the foundation for November 2024, when they proudly launched this carbon market policy at COP29 in Baku. Then, just a few weeks later on December 27th, the federal cabinet gave the official green light, bringing all those past lessons into one solid, transparent national framework. And that rich history perfectly tees up their brand new dual market approach. On the one hand, we've got the voluntary carbon market, or VCM. This one is wide open for any entity that wants to voluntarily offset their emissions, which is great because it builds right on top of Pakistan's existing project pipeline. But then, on the flip side, we have the developing compliance market under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. For this one, the government is carefully crafting policy, and they're doing it by taking all those lessons learned from the VCN and blending them with international best practices. It's a really smart two-pronged strategy. All right, moving right along to Section 2, climate targets and the trading ceiling. Basically, the numbers behind all this ambition. 801.2 megatons of carbon dioxide equivalent. I mean, wow, that is a staggering number. Based on the 2021 updated Nationally Determined Contributions, or NDCs, this represents Pakistan's absolute total committed reduction in greenhouse gases by the year 2030. That is the massive mountain they've committed to climbing. And carbon trading? That's one of the main tools they're using to reach the summit. Now, what's really interesting here is how that massive 801.2 figure actually gets sliced up, because not all of it is just up for grabs on the market. First up, 240.15 megatons. That's the unconditional target. Those are cuts Pakistan is committed to making entirely internally, meaning they are completely excluded from trading. The rest, 561.05 megatons, is conditional, which means it relies on external funding. But here's the really critical piece. The trading limit is strictly capped at exactly 50% of that conditional target. So the absolute ceiling available for carbon trading, exactly 280.5 megatons. It's a clever way to ensure Pakistan actually meets its own internal goals while safely playing a role in the global market. Which brings us to Section 3, Project Pillars and Eligibility, or what I like to call the rules of the game. So, we've seen the big picture ambition, right? But how does that actually work on the ground? Well, every single project has to play by these 7 non-negotiable guiding pillars. Let me just highlight a few that are absolutely crucial for market integrity. First, projects have to ensure additionality. That basically means the emission cuts have to be genuinely additional to whatever would have happened business as usual. You don't get credits for something you are already going to do anyway. Makes sense, right? Second, prevent double counting. No double issuance, no double claiming. And third, ensure permanence. If there's any risk of a carbon reversal down the line, it literally has to be fully compensated. These aren't just polite suggestions. They are hard and fast rules to keep the market completely credible. And if you're wondering exactly where these projects are going to take place, the framework targets some very specific priority sectors. We're talking energy, agriculture, forestry and land use, waste management, industry, transport, and wetlands. And this isn't random. These align perfectly with Pakistan's national climate change policy. But hey, it's not a totally closed box. Proponents are highly encouraged to think outside the box and bring forward innovative new pathways to hit net zero. Okay, let's break down Section 4, the 5-step approval process, from idea all the way to export. So the crucial point here is that the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination oversees this whole thing, and it works kind of like a highly structured sequential relay race. Step 1. It kicks off with a project idea note, or PIN, that you submit. If they like what they see, you move to Step 2 and get a letter of intent. But Listen closely here, because the clock is definitely ticking. That letter of intent expires if your project design document, which is step 3, isn't registered within 2 years. Now, they might give you a one-time 180-day extension, but you really got to move. Once that document is locked in, step 4 is getting a no objection certificate. And finally, step 5. The mitigation outcomes are authorized and officially transferred internationally as an ITMO or carbon credit. It's a very clear end-to-end pathway. Now let's jump into Section 5, Governance, Registry, and Fees. This is all about the oversight and, of course, the bottom line costs for projects. All right, so to make sure everything stays totally above board, the oversight system leans on 3 main pillars. First, there's a dedicated carbon market working group. They're the ones ensuring market integrity, and they've got a really balanced mix of folks from government, the private sector, and civil society. Second, there's a decentralized national carbon registry. Think of this as a highly secure digital vault that actively prevents anyone from double counting or retiring the same credit twice. And finally, a super robust MRV system. That's measurement, reporting, and verification. This directly feeds into Pakistan's biennial transparency report for the UN, keeping them right in line with Paris Agreement rules. Bottom line, buyers can actually trust the credits they're purchasing. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where the money goes. Every project has obligatory fees, which are basically designed to balance project profitability with benefits for the country. First off, there's a 5% deduction taken right at the source from the credits themselves, and that goes toward Pakistan's own voluntary NDCs. Next up, a 12% corresponding adjustment fee, or CAF, is applied to the net revenue from your credit sales. And I love this part. It's split 50-50. Half goes straight to the host province, and the other half goes to the Pakistan Climate Change Fund. Finally, there's a tiny 1% administrative cost on gross revenue that goes to the federal government. It's just a very clear, transparent formula for how revenue gets shared. Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the bottom line, and really why this whole policy matters. We have covered a ton of ground today, from the 2006 history all the way to modern fee structures. So if you remember absolutely nothing else from this explainer, please take away these 3 points. Number 1, this is Pakistan's first comprehensive national framework. But remember, it is built on nearly 2 decades of real-world voluntary market experience. This isn't just some experiment. Number 2, it is fully investor-ready. The whole system is designed to be this seamless, IT-based, end-to-end digital process. No paper, high transparency. And number 3, the guidelines treat credit integrity, community benefits, and government revenue as completely equal, non-negotiable pillars. None of them takes a backseat to the others. These 2024 guidelines have officially kicked the doors wide open to turn greenhouse gas mitigation into real, tangible economic value. So, I want to leave you with this. As the entire world races toward a greener future, is your sector ready to not just hit net zero, but actually monetize the journey? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.